The alarm started screaming exactly 13 seconds before Zara Veyn realized she had made the worst decision of her life. At the time, she was only trying to steal fuel. Nothing heroic, nothing noble, just fuel. The docking bay of Outpost Kilo smelled like burnt metal and desperation, which suited Zara perfectly. The station floated near the edge of the Perseus expanse, so far beyond civilized trade routes that most star maps didn't bother marking anymore. Criminals came here. Smugglers came here. People hiding from governments came here. And Zara Veyn fit into all three categories. She crouched behind a cargo container while technicians argued near a fuel manifold 20 meters away. 32 years old, gray-skinned, amber eyes, former military pilot, current smuggler, wanted in 6 systems, dead in 2, at least according to official records. The black jacket hanging from her shoulders had seen better years. So had she. Her freighter, the Wanderer, sat in Bay 17 with one engine barely functioning and enough fuel remaining to reach nowhere important, which was why she was currently preparing to commit theft. Again. Come on, she muttered. Walk away. One technician finally waved his arms in frustration and stomped toward the station elevators. The second followed. Zara smiled. Perfect. She moved. Years of surviving on lawless frontier worlds had taught her how to disappear when necessary. Within seconds, she was kneeling beside the manifold, attaching a siphon hose. Fuel began flowing into her portable tanks. Easy. Too easy. Which should have been her first warning. The explosion came from somewhere above. The entire station shook. Warning lights flooded the docking bay. People started screaming. Another blast echoed through the structure. Zara immediately disconnected the hose. Something was very wrong. The station intercom crackled. Security lockdown initiated. Repeat. Security lockdown initiated. Then came a second announcement, one that froze every living soul in the docking bay. Priority Omega. Human asset has escaped containment. Silence followed. Then panic. Pure panic. Workers abandoned equipment. Merchants ran for cover. Security teams rushed toward transit corridors. Zara frowned. Human asset? That was unusual. Humans were rare this far beyond Alliance territory. Valuable, too. Some governments paid fortunes for human specialists. Others paid fortunes for human prisoners. Neither possibility sounded good. A pair of armored security officers sprinted past her. Sector 12, one shouted. He went through maintenance tunnels. The other cursed. Director Killer wants him alive. Interesting. Very interesting. Zara should have walked away. Smart people would have walked away. Unfortunately, curiosity had ruined her life more times than she could count. She followed. 10 minutes later she found him. Not in Sector 12. Not in a maintenance tunnel. Not anywhere security expected. He was hiding beneath a broken transport platform near the station's lower reactor levels. Young. 14, maybe 15. Human. Dark hair. Thin. Exhausted. Terrified. When Zara's flashlight landed on him, he immediately grabbed a piece of broken metal pipe. Stay back. His voice cracked. Zara raised both hands. Easy. The boy didn't lower the pipe. I mean it. I'm armed. Zara glanced at the rusty pipe. No, she said. You're optimistic. The boy blinked. For a moment confusion interrupted fear. Good. Fear made people dangerous. Confusion made them predictable. What do you want? He demanded. Zara studied him. No prison uniform. No visible restraints. No signs of abuse. Yet someone had definitely been holding him. You first. She crossed her arms. Why is half the station looking for you? The boy hesitated. Too long. Lie incoming. I stole something. Zara laughed. No. His eyes narrowed. How do you know? Because nobody deploys Omega lockdowns over theft. The boy looked away, which was answer enough. Interesting. Very interesting. Footsteps echoed nearby. Security patrol. Close. The boy heard them too. His face drained of color. They can't find me. Zara sighed. Of course. Of course she was getting involved. She hated getting involved. Every disaster in her life had started with getting involved. The patrol moved closer. Flashlights swept through corridors. The boy's breathing accelerated. Then something happened Zara didn't expect. He looked exactly like her younger brother had looked years ago. Scared, alone, outnumbered. The memory hit harder than she liked. Her brother had died 17 years earlier. Wrong place, wrong time. Nobody had helped him. Zara cursed quietly. Come on. The boy stared. What? Move. She pointed toward a maintenance hatch. Unless you'd rather explain yourself to station security. His eyes widened. You'll help me? I haven't decided. She grabbed his arm. But getting caught won't answer any questions. Together, they slipped into the maintenance network seconds before security reached the reactor level. The tunnels stretched for kilometers beneath the station. Dark, narrow, hot. They walked for nearly an hour before stopping. The boy finally collapsed against the wall. Exhaustion radiated from him. Zara tossed him a water packet. He drank greedily. When was the last time you slept? The answer came quietly. 3 days. Zara frowned. 3 days? No wonder he looked terrible. You have a name? Ethan. She nodded. Zara. The boy looked at her carefully. Aren't you afraid? Of what? Helping me. Zara laughed. You assume I care enough to be afraid. The lie sounded convincing, even to her. Mostly. Ethan studied her, then looked away. They'll kill me. The words came so softly she almost missed them. Zara became very still. Who? The people hunting me. Station security? Ethan shook his head. No. Then who? He hesitated. Again. Too long. Then he whispered something that changed everything. The Imperial Directorate. Zara stared. The Imperial Directorate wasn't station security. It wasn't local government. It wasn't law enforcement. It was the most powerful intelligence agency in known space. The people who made senators disappear. The people who started wars. The people who ended them. And according to this terrified teenager, they wanted him dead. Not captured. Not questioned. Dead. Zara suddenly understood why the station had entered lockdown. This wasn't an escaped prisoner. This was something far worse. What exactly are you? She asked. Ethan looked directly into her eyes. And for the first time she saw something beneath the fear. Something ancient, dangerous, important. I don't know. He admitted. That's why they're hunting me. Outside the maintenance tunnel, another explosion rocked the station. Much closer this time. Dust drifted from the ceiling. Emergency sirens wailed. And somewhere far above them, hundreds of armed personnel were searching for one frightened human boy. Zara Veyn had planned to steal fuel and leave. Instead, she had just become the most wanted woman on outpost kilos, and she still had no idea why. The first gunship arrived 6 minutes after Zara decided not to abandon Ethan. That fact would bother her later, because 6 minutes wasn't enough time for anyone to discover she'd helped him, which meant someone already knew where they were. And that realization was far more terrifying than the fleet currently surrounding Outpost Kilos. The maintenance tunnel shuddered as another explosion rocked the station. Dust drifted from overhead pipes. Emergency lights flickered red. Ethan looked up nervously. What was that? Zara listened carefully. Not internal damage. External. Weapons fire. A lot of it. Someone's attacking the station. The boy's face somehow became even paler. They found me. Zara stared. Who? Ethan swallowed. I don't know anymore. That wasn't the answer she wanted, but it sounded honest, which worried her more. The station intercom suddenly crackled to life, its normally calm voice distorted by urgency. All civilians remain sheltered. Repeat. Unidentified vessels have entered local space. Docking operations suspended. Security forces responding. The announcement cut off abruptly, then static. Nothing else. Zara cursed. That's not good. What do we do? Ethan asked. Zara stood. We leave. The boy blinked. Leave. That's generally my solution when armed fleets start shooting at each other. Getting back to her ship wasn't easy. The station had descended into complete chaos. Corridors overflowed with frightened civilians. Security teams rushed in every direction. Some appeared to be fighting. Others appeared to be running. Nobody seemed entirely sure who was in charge anymore, which was exactly the kind of confusion Zara excelled at navigating. She moved through the crowd with Ethan close behind. Twice she changed routes. 3 times she avoided checkpoints. Once she bribed a cargo supervisor with stolen ration vouchers. By the time they reached Docking Bay 17, both were exhausted. The Wanderer sat exactly where she'd left it. Old, scarred, ugly, perfect. Ethan stared. That's your ship? Zara looked offended. What about her? It looks like it's falling apart. She is falling apart. Zara opened the cargo ramp. But she's falling apart in a highly professional manner. For the first time since she'd met him, Ethan smiled. Only briefly, but it was enough. Good. Scared people needed reasons to remember they were alive. The engine started on the 3rd attempt, which counted as a victory. The cargo ramp sealed. Navigation systems flickered awake, and immediately every warning light on the console activated. Zara ignored most of them. Experience taught her which warnings mattered. Usually, strap in. Ethan obeyed. Outside the cockpit viewport, dozens of ships moved around the station. Security vessels, freighters, patrol craft, and something else. Something larger. Much larger. 3 enormous black warships hung beyond the station's perimeter. Their hulls absorbed light rather than reflecting it. No visible markings. No transponder signals. Nothing. Ghost ships. Zara had heard stories. Never seen one. Until now. Oh, she whispered. That's bad. What are they? Ethan asked. Zara's expression darkened. The kind of ships governments pretend don't exist. Then every communication screen activated simultaneously. A man's face appeared. Sharp features. Silver eyes. Perfect posture. The sort of face designed to inspire obedience. Or fear. Possibly both. Attention outpost kilos. His voice filled every frequency. I am Director Kaler of the Imperial Directorate. Every muscle in Ethan's body locked instantly. Fear. Real fear. Zara noticed immediately. Interesting. Very interesting. The man continued. We are searching for a dangerous fugitive. A photograph appeared. Ethan. The station seemed to collectively stop breathing. Any vessel assisting this individual will be considered hostile. The image vanished. Director Kaler looked directly toward the camera, almost as if he could see them. The boy possesses information capable of destabilizing the galaxy. Zara glanced sideways. Ethan looked horrified. The transmission ended. Silence followed. Then Ethan whispered something unexpected. He's lying. The words hung in the cockpit. Zara studied him carefully. Explain. Ethan looked away. I can't. Wrong answer. Very wrong answer. Kid. Her voice hardened. There are warships outside. Secret police are hunting you. And somebody just called you a threat to civilization. She leaned forward. If I'm risking my neck for you, I need answers. Ethan stayed silent for nearly 30 seconds. Then he slowly rolled up his sleeve. A thin metallic line ran beneath the skin of his forearm. Implant, military grade, ancient. Zara immediately recognized it. Her stomach dropped. No. Ethan nodded. I think there's something inside me. Hours later, they were far from the station. The stars stretched into blue tunnels as the Wanderer entered jump space. For the first time all day, nobody was shooting at them, which felt strange, almost suspicious. Ethan sat quietly across from her. Neither spoke much. Both thought. Eventually, Zara broke the silence. Who put the implant there? I don't know. Parents? His expression changed. Pain. Loss. Something deeper. They died. Zara instantly regretted asking. The boy continued staring out the viewport. I barely remember them. She nodded slowly. Fair enough. Some wounds deserved privacy. 3 hours into the jump, they discovered the truth, or at least part of it. The ship's medical scanner identified the implant. Not completely, but enough. Zara stared at the results, then stared again, then cursed. What? Ethan asked nervously. She turned the screen toward him. The display showed a single phrase. Archive access key. Priority classification. Omega Black. Neither spoke. Eventually, Ethan broke the silence. What does that mean? Zara laughed once. Not because anything was funny. Because the alternative was panic. It means half the galaxy wants whatever's inside your arm. The next day, everything became worse. Because another fleet appeared. They exited jump space near an abandoned mining system. Zara intended only a short refueling stop. Nothing more. Instead, they found 23 warships waiting. Not Imperial. Not military. Something else. The vessels were older, rougher, covered in battle scars. A rebellion fleet. And they had been expecting Ethan. The first transmission arrived immediately. A woman appeared on screen. Dark uniform. Cold eyes. A scar across her left cheek. Zara Veyn, she said calmly. You have something that belongs to us. Zara immediately disliked her. Do I? Yes. The woman looked directly at Ethan. The boy froze. Recognition. Somehow they knew each other. Interesting. Very interesting. The woman continued. My name is Captain Zara Veyn. Tell Ethan we're taking him home. Home. The word changed everything. Because Ethan looked terrified. Not relieved. Not happy. Terrified. Zara noticed immediately. Kid, she said quietly. Who is she? His answer came barely above a whisper. The people who raised me. The cockpit suddenly felt colder. Much colder. Because that wasn't how someone described family. That was how someone described captors. Zara's fleet surrounded them. Escape became impossible, at least through conventional means. Fortunately, Zara specialized in unconventional solutions. She smiled. Zara immediately frowned, which was wise. People rarely benefited when Zara smiled during crises. You should surrender. Zara warned. Zara leaned back casually. Counteroffer. What? I'm leaving. Zara stared. You're surrounded. I've noticed. The transmission ended. 3 minutes later, the Wanderer detonated 3 mining charges directly into the system's unstable asteroid belt. The resulting chain reaction blinded sensors across half the region. Warships scrambled. Communications failed. Navigation systems overloaded. And Zara accelerated directly through the chaos. Ethan gripped his seat. Are we going to die? Probably. Zara admitted. Comforting. Thank you. The ship barely avoided collision with a tumbling asteroid. Alarm screamed. Something exploded behind them, possibly important. Zara chose not to investigate. They escaped. Barely, but they escaped. Hours later, the Wanderer drifted through deep space. Damaged, low on fuel, running out of options. Ethan sat silently. Finally he spoke. "Why are you helping me?" Zara didn't answer immediately. The truth felt uncomfortable, complicated, dangerous. Eventually she shrugged. "Because somebody should." The boy looked away. For a moment he seemed close to tears, but he held them back. Strong kid, too strong for 14. That usually meant life had been cruel. Then the final twist arrived, without warning, without mercy. At exactly 2:14 ship time, the implant activated. Ethan collapsed instantly. His body convulsed. Blue light erupted beneath his skin. Zara rushed across the cabin. "Ethan!" The boy screamed, not from pain, from memory. Thousands of images flooded every display aboard the ship. Ancient star maps, military archives, secret facilities, unknown coordinates, encrypted messages. And finally one image. A man, human, middle-aged, eyes identical to Ethan's. The message began. "My son." Ethan stopped breathing. Zara froze. The recording continued. "If you're seeing this, it means they finally found you." The man looked directly into the camera. "Everything you've been told is a lie." Outside the viewport, the stars drifted silently. Inside the ship, neither Zara nor Ethan moved, because somewhere deep inside that implant, someone had hidden a secret worth fleets, worth wars, possibly worth entire civilizations. And they had just unlocked the first piece. For a long moment, neither Zara nor Ethan spoke. The holographic image hung above the cockpit, like a ghost refusing to fade. The man in the recording looked exhausted, not physically, emotionally, like someone carrying a burden far too large for one lifetime. His eyes locked onto the camera, onto his son, and then he spoke again. "If you're watching this, Ethan," then the safeguards failed. The boy stared motionless. His hands trembled. Zara remained beside him, quiet, watching, listening. The man's image flickered. "The people chasing you will tell different stories. The Empire will call me a terrorist. The Resistance will call me a liberator. The truth is much simpler." He paused, then sighed. "I was wrong." Ethan blinked. Zara frowned. That wasn't what she expected. Most dead revolutionaries recorded messages about destiny, about revenge, about victory, not regret. "I believe the galaxy could be fixed." The man continued. "I believe the old systems have become corrupt beyond repair. So I searched for another way." The hologram shifted. New images appeared. Ancient ruins, dead worlds, massive structures floating between stars. Zara immediately recognized none of them, which frightened her, because she'd spent most of her life traveling space. "There are things older than civilization." The man said quietly, "Older than empire, older than humanity." The images continued changing. Planet-sized machines, impossible architecture, artifacts buried beneath forgotten suns. Ethan stared. "What is this?" The recording answered him. "The first builders." Zara felt a chill. Every species knew the legends. Ancient creators, lost gods, myths, fairy tales. Nobody serious believed they had existed, at least not until now. The hologram zoomed inward. One structure dominated the display. A colossal black sphere floating inside a dead star system. Even through the recording it felt wrong, like looking at something never meant for mortal eyes. The man's voice became softer. "I found their final weapon." Silence. Then, "And I should have left it buried." Ethan swallowed hard. Zara slowly lowered herself into a nearby chair, because suddenly she wasn't hearing a story about politics anymore. She was hearing a confession, a dangerous one. The weapon isn't designed to destroy planets. The man continued. It destroys stars. Every light inside the cockpit suddenly seemed dimmer. Ethan whispered, "No." The hologram nodded. One activation can erase entire systems. The room fell silent. Even the ship seemed quieter somehow, as if the universe itself were listening. The man looked directly at his son. "Ethan, if either side gains control of the weapon, the galaxy burns." The image flickered violently. Corruption spread through the recording. Time running out. "They're hunting you because the access key is inside your body." Ethan slowly looked at his arm. The implant, the archive key, the thing everyone wanted, the thing entire fleets were chasing. The man's expression softened. "I'm sorry for all of it." The recording ended. Darkness returned. Nobody spoke for nearly 5 minutes. Finally, Ethan broke the silence. "My father found a weapon." Zara nodded. "Apparently. He hid the key inside me. Apparently. He started a war." "Possibly." The boy laughed, a broken sound, half disbelief, half despair. Then he buried his face in his hands. For the first time since they'd met, he looked his age. 14, scared, overwhelmed, alone. Zara felt unexpectedly protective, which annoyed her. She'd spent years avoiding attachments. They complicated survival. Yet somehow this kid kept slipping past her defenses. The ship's proximity alarm interrupted the moment. Zara's eyes widened. "That's not good." "What?" She pointed toward the sensor display. 3 ships, closing rapidly. Too rapidly. Military-grade engines. No transponder signals. No identification. Just predators approaching prey. Captain Zara Veyn had found them. Again, the first transmission arrived seconds later. Zara's face appeared. Unchanged. Calm. Focused. Dangerous. "You become difficult to catch." She observed. Zara rolled her eyes. "You should try smuggling." Zara ignored the comment. Her attention shifted toward Ethan. The captain's expression softened slightly. "Ethan." The boy looked away. "Interesting. Very interesting. Not fear. Not hatred. Something more complicated. You don't understand what's happening." Zara said. Ethan laughed bitterly. "Neither do you." That got a reaction. For the first time, uncertainty crossed her face. Only briefly. But Zara noticed. The captain recovered quickly. "Come with us." "No." "Ethan." "No." Zara exhaled slowly, like someone running out of patience. "Your father lied to you." The boy stood. "So did everyone else." The transmission ended. Weapons locked onto them. 3 military vessels against 1 battered freighter. The odds weren't merely bad. They were mathematically insulting. Zara glanced toward Ethan. "You got any miracle plans?" "No." "Me neither." "Great." Then another fleet arrived. Not 3 ships. Not 10. Hundreds. The stars suddenly filled with vessels. Imperial warships. Black hulls. Silver insignias. Enough firepower to conquer worlds. At their center floated a massive command dreadnought. Director Kaler had arrived personally. The situation instantly became worse, which impressed Zara. She hadn't realized it was possible. New transmissions flooded every channel. Zara's fleet, Kaler's fleet, military commands, threats, warnings, demands. The entire system descended into chaos. And trapped between 2 armies sat 1 terrified teenager and 1 exhausted smuggler. Then Director Kaler himself appeared. His silver eyes studied Ethan, not with hatred, not even anger, Something closer to concern. Unexpected. Listen carefully. He said, "The weapon exists." Ethan nodded. "I know." "Then you understand why this matters." The boy surprised everyone, including Zara. "No." Kaler blinked. "What?" Ethan stepped forward. "My entire life people lied to me. The Resistance. The Empire. My father." His voice shook, but he continued. "So tell me the truth." For the first time, all conversation stopped. Even Sarah looked interested, because apparently nobody had asked that question before. Director Kaler remained silent. Then something remarkable happened. He answered, "Your father wasn't trying to save the galaxy." Kaler said, "He was trying to control it." Ethan froze. Sarah's expression hardened. The director continued. "He discovered the weapon, then convinced himself only he could use it responsibly. The old story. Power. Good intentions. Disaster. Zara had heard versions before. Never ended well. Sarah interrupted. "That's not true." Kaler turned toward her. "No." The captain hesitated. For the first time. A tiny hesitation. But enough. Enough for doubt. The director saw it too. "Even you don't know everything," he said quietly. That landed harder than any weapon, because Sarah suddenly looked uncertain. And uncertainty frightened soldiers more than enemies. Then Zara noticed something. A file, still running inside Ethan's implant. Background processes. Hidden data. Encrypted. Waiting. Her eyes narrowed. Something else was buried there. Something important. She activated a scanner. The results appeared instantly, and her blood ran cold. The implant didn't contain one access key. It contained two. The first belonged to the weapon. The second belonged to something called Project Echo. Nobody else noticed. Not yet. But Zara felt a knot forming in her stomach, because she'd seen that name before. Years ago. Long ago. A memory she barely remembered. A laboratory. Bright lights. Voices. Pain. Suddenly her head hurt. Badly. Images flashed through her mind. Not memories. Fragments. Broken pieces. A medical facility. Scientists. Experiments. A human man. The same man from Ethan's recording. Zara stumbled backward. The room spun. Ethan rushed forward. "Zara," she barely heard him, because another memory surfaced. One sentence. One voice. One impossible truth. Subject Echo 7 successful. The words echoed through her skull. Again. 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 Director Kaler noticed immediately. His expression changed. Recognition. Shock. Then something resembling pity. "No," he whispered. Zara looked up. "What?" The director stared at her, not at Ethan. "At her." "That's impossible," he said. Every instinct inside Zara screamed danger. Then Kaler spoke words that shattered her world. "Zara Veyn died 21 years ago." Silence. Absolute silence. The stars outside seemed to stop moving. The ship stopped mattering. The war stopped mattering. Everything stopped, because Director Kaler wasn't looking at a smuggler anymore. He was looking at a ghost. And somewhere deep inside her mind, a door began to open. For several seconds, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Nobody breathed. The stars outside the viewport continued their silent dance. But inside the Wanderer, reality had fractured. Zara stared at Director Kaler, then laughed. A sharp, humorless sound. "That's ridiculous." Kaler didn't smile, didn't blink, didn't look uncertain. And that frightened her more than any fleet. 21 years ago, Kaler said quietly, a transport carrying refugees was destroyed during a border collapse. Zara's heart pounded. No. Among the casualties was a girl named Zara Veyn. No. The original Zara Veyn. The words landed like physical blows. Memories flashed. Not memories. Fragments. Pieces. A burning ship. Smoke. Screaming. Cold metal tables. Scientists. Needles. Machines. Darkness. The headache exploded behind her eyes. She staggered. Ethan caught her before she fell. Zara. She barely heard him, because another memory surfaced. One she'd never experienced. One she should never have possessed. A laboratory. White walls. Rows of glass chambers. Dozens of children. Dozens of failures. And one scientist speaking quietly. Echo 7 is stable. The room vanished. Reality returned. Zara was breathing hard, her hands trembling. Kaler looked older suddenly, not weaker, just tired, like a man carrying too many secrets. Project Echo, he said, was an attempt to create agents capable of surviving deep infiltration assignments. Zara felt sick. No. Kaler nodded. You weren't born. You were built. Silence. Ethan stared. Sarah stared. Even the officers aboard nearby ships seemed frozen. Zara's voice emerged as a whisper. You're lying. I wish I was. For the first time in years, fear overwhelmed anger, because deep inside herself, she already knew the fragments, the missing years, the memories that never quite fit, the dreams, the gaps, the impossible coincidences. All of it suddenly made sense. She wasn't Zara Veyn, not originally. She was Echo 7, a manufactured life wearing someone else's identity. And the man who created her was Ethan's father. The realization hit harder than anything before. Ethan looked horrified. My father? Kaler nodded. Project Echo was his design. The boy looked physically ill. He created me? Zara whispered. He created many. The director's expression darkened. Most died. A long silence followed. Then Ethan spoke. Why? Nobody answered immediately, because everyone already suspected the truth. Power, control, certainty. The same reasons disasters always happened. Kaler finally sighed. Your father believed civilization required guardians. The director's eyes hardened. He believed free people couldn't be trusted to govern themselves. The old story again. The dangerous story. The story every tyrant eventually told themselves. I know better. Outside, hundreds of warships drifted silently, waiting, watching. Then alarms erupted. Every screen aboard the Wanderer turned red. New coordinates appeared. A location. The final location. The Star Killer weapon. Everyone saw it simultaneously. Imperial forces. Resistance forces. Every ship. Every commander. Every sensor network. Because Ethan's implant had finished decrypting. The secret was out. And now the race began. The dead system. 36 hours later. 3 fleets arrived together. The system had no name. No inhabited worlds. No colonies. No traffic. Only darkness. At its center floated a dead star. And inside that dead star waited the weapon, even from millions of kilometers away. It looked impossible. A black sphere larger than a moon, covered in geometric patterns that seemed to move when nobody looked directly at them. Ancient, silent, terrifying. The creation of a civilization that had vanished before recorded history began. Nobody spoke over communications, because everyone understood. One activation, one mistake, and entire sectors would disappear. The resistance moved first. Hundreds of ships accelerated toward the sphere. Imperial vessels intercepted. Then the battle began. The largest battle Ethan had ever seen. Thousands of missiles, energy beams, fighters, explosions, ships dying every second. Civilization deciding its future through violence. As usual, Zara watched from the cockpit. Then she saw something nobody else noticed. A secondary signal, hidden beneath the weapon's control systems. Project Echo. Her project. Her access. The final truth. The weapon didn't require Ethan. It required her. She was a final key. Not the boy. Her. Everything suddenly made sense. Why she'd survived. Why she'd been created. Why Ethan's father built Echo 7. She had never been a soldier. She had been a lock. The last choice. Ethan saw her expression. Immediately understood. No. Zara smiled sadly. Yeah. No. The boy stood. We find another way. There isn't one. There has to be. There isn't. The silence hurt, because both knew the truth. The weapon would never stop attracting armies, never stop attracting tyrants, never stop tempting people. As long as it existed, war would follow forever. Zara looked toward the dead star, then made her decision, the same way she made every important decision in her life. Without asking permission, she launched an escape pod. Before Ethan realized what she was doing, Zara, the hatch sealed, the pod accelerated, straight toward the sphere. The end of Echo 7. Resistance ships opened fire. Imperial ships opened fire. Everyone suddenly understood. Too late. The pod slipped through debris. Past fighters, past missiles, past the battle itself, toward destiny, toward sacrifice, toward the machine waiting inside the dead star. Inside the pod, Zara sat alone. For the first time in her life, truly alone. No lies, no masks, no stolen identities. Just herself, whoever that was. The weapon accepted her immediately. Ancient systems awakened. Ancient doors opened. Ancient intelligence recognized its final key. A voice echoed through the chamber. Authorization accepted. Zara smiled, then selected the final command. Not activation. Deletion. Permanent. Irreversible. Absolute. The machine hesitated, as though surprised, then obeyed. The sphere began collapsing. Across the battlefield, every sensor detected it. Every commander understood. The weapon was dying. Forever. The lie that saved billions. The explosion illuminated the entire system. Not violent. Not destructive. Beautiful. Like a star being born. Then everything was gone. The weapon. The station. The ancient technology. The final secrets of the first builders. And Zara, gone. Forever. 1 year later. History chose a simpler story. History always did. Official reports declared Zara Veyn responsible for destroying classified military assets. Some called her a terrorist. Others called her a criminal. Most forgot her entirely. The Empire preferred it that way. The Resistance preferred it that way. The truth was inconvenient. Only a few people knew. Ethan knew. Kaylor knew. Sarah knew. And they never spoke publicly, because some truths survived only through silence. 10 years later, a small memorial stood on an unnamed world. No crowds visited. No tourists arrived. No governments funded it. Just a simple stone beneath unfamiliar stars. Ethan stood before it. Older now. Stronger. Wiser. The inscription contained only 6 words. She saved everyone. Nobody believed her. The wind moved softly across the grass. For a moment Ethan smiled, because he remembered the woman who had stolen fuel, the smuggler who complained constantly, the fugitive who hated responsibility, the accidental hero who never wanted to be one, the woman who had chosen others over herself. Again, and again, and again, far above, the stars continued shining, unaware of how close they had come to darkness. And because of one forgotten woman history called a traitor, They would keep shining for a very long time.